story time about this girl who faked being Latina. So there was this girl who went to my school. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is the queen of lies. In every subject we talk about, Sarah always, and I mean always, comes up with a lie that has to do with her life. Here's an example. What if we're talking about Tom Holland? She'd just come in and say, oh yeah, Tom Holland is my dad's friend. I met him once. You know, these types of lies. Another one is when she told everyone she's Latina. It was lunchtime in school and we were talking about where we went for the summer. Sarah tells us that she went to Spain and she started telling us on what she did there and says that she's 50% Latina. She also said that she lived in Spain for 6 years. And if there is any person who lived in Spain for 6 years, they must know how to speak Spanish. And then my friend Kayla asked her, what does good morning mean in Spanish? We all know it's buenos dias. She just And my friend Kayla asked Sarah, what does good morning mean in Spanish? And then Sarah looks at us, looks back at her food, and said, I don't know, I'm still taking Spanish lessons. And we just look at her, that she doesn't even know what good morning means in Spanish. If she had lived in Spain for 6 years, she would have known what it meant. I don't know how, but that incident has spread around the entire school. Every person that walks past Sarah just says, Buenos dias, basically teasing her about not knowing what good morning means in Spanish. And then Sarah didn't show up to school for 3 days after that. And oh boy, we haven't even gotten to the crazy part. The 3 days pass and Sarah comes back to school. As soon as she walks into the class, everyone's eyes was on her. She came up, sat in her seat, and this lady showed up to school. So after 3 days of Sarah not coming to school, she showed up in a crop top, skinny jeans, fake nails, and fake lashes. And her hair was in a bun with edges. Yes, you heard me, edges. This lady is white. And in lunchtime, she took out a bag of hot Cheetos and some dipping sauce. I don't know if this was supposed to make us think she's Latina, but trust me, it didn't work. All of the freshmen and sophomores took out their phone and started filming her. This is where I kind of felt bad, but she ran to the bathroom crying, and she just stayed there and didn't show up to any classes for the rest of the day.
Okay, so story time. So basically one time in 5th grade, my dad took me to get breakfast from Dunkin' Donuts. We went there before school like always, and as we were there, this strange man outside was staring at me and like making faces. Super creepy. We didn't know him or anything, so we walked inside and I was kind of freaked out. I told my dad that I was creeped out by him and he told me that nothing bad was going to happen. Or so he thought. So we got our foods and we ate it. Everything was fine, you know, chill. After we were done, we got up to leave. The man was gone by now, so I felt better But then on the way to my school, I saw him walking on the sidewalk. Like, I figured he was going to his house or like somewhere else. When we got to my school, no one was outside. It was kind of weird. We went to open the door because my dad was a part of the PTA, so he came in with me. The door for some reason was locked. My music teacher out of nowhere ran out and brought us inside quickly. She told us that our whole school was on code red. Scary. And that a man was in our school, so we went inside and I went and hid in the music room. Like for part 2. Okay, so part 2. So I went and hid in the music room. Dad was in the PTA room, which was close by. Literally started crying because I was so scared and they weren't telling us anything because we were too young. I guess they didn't want to scare us. That didn't work. Once the code red was over, about 30 minutes later, we went to class. I went to go find my dad and make sure he was okay and see if he knew anything, and he didn't. When I got in my classroom, we were all talking about it, and my teacher said that the man just walked in and told them he was looking for one of his teachers from like 15 years back. Huh? They gave us a description of the man, and I realized it was the same man from Dunkin' Donuts. He just walked in my school. I was freaked out because I saw him at Dunkin' Donuts before school started, and I hoped I never saw him again. But a few weeks later, I saw him again multiple times at the same Dunkin' Donuts. He literally just stared at me all the time. So yeah, that's my little story.
Story time on how I sold my farts in a jar and made big money. Okay, so boom, let's get right into it. So I'm extremely broke. And because I'm broke, I did what many people would do and went to Google. I looked up ways to make money when you're dead broke as a woman. Dancers came up and also fans only, and even selling my intimates. But I served the Lord, so I didn't want to do anything involving my body in a sexual way. No judgment, by the way, just not for me based on my beliefs. Well, anyways, I stumbled across a page of a woman. I don't know if she prefers her identity to be hidden, so let's just call her Hannah Montana. Well, Hannah Montana explained how she made $70K selling her farts, and it immediately, 1, shocked me, and 2, piqued my interest. Now this was something I could do. I had to start my fart journey. Like for part 2.
What would you do if someone said this to you? Once there was a girl in Korea who got in an elevator in the apartment building that she was living in when a stranger came in and told her something that was absolutely terrifying. This stranger came into the elevator with her and tried to make some small talk. He looked at the elevator buttons and said, "Oh, I see that you live on the 14th floor. I live on the 13th floor." She gave him a friendly response and even tried to flirt a little bit. She thought that he was attractive and wondered if they would get to know each other better. But things quickly took a horrifying turn. When the elevator arrived at the 13th floor, the man got off and said, "See you soon." But as the doors closed, he pulled out a knife from his jacket and with a terrifying smile said, "Upstairs." Then he ran towards the stairs. By this time, it was too late. The elevator doors were already closed. She tried to push as many buttons as possible, but it was of no use. She was stuck inside the elevator, unable to do anything, as the elevator made its way up to the 14th floor. This is why you should be careful who you marry. Once there was a man who hated his wife, so he came up with a horrifying plan. But he would never expect that she was one step ahead. He lied by saying he wanted to fix their marriage by taking her on a vacation to a hotel near the mountains. There they went to a long hiking trail near a cliff. His plan was to push her and claim it was an accident. But this went terribly wrong. As soon as they arrived near the cliff, his wife said something unexpected. "I know you hate me, but you have no idea how much I hate you." Then she revealed what she had done. Before leaving the hotel that morning, she wrote a note to the hotel manager saying she knew her husband was planning to push her off a cliff, and if anything happened, tell the police. Then she looked up at her husband and said, "Now there's no way you'll convince anyone this was an accident." Horrified, the husband said, "What accident?" But before he could finish, his wife jumped. By the time he went back to the hotel, the police were already waiting.
This is why you should always lock your front doors. A kid living with both of his parents decided to watch a movie for their family weekly movie night. He then gets up to use the restroom. As he is in the restroom, he sees all of the power in the house cuts off, and then he hears 2 loud thumps. He locks the bathroom door and hears heavy objects being dragged across the hallway. The kid, freaking out, runs out of the bathroom and runs into the restroom. Once he is inside the room, he locks the door. As he locks the door, he jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep in hopes that this person who is in the house will ignore a child sleeping. He closes his eyes and hears the door creak at the same time. He squints his